Hi, it's been a week since EA WRC was publicly launched and it has already received its first update, so I wanted to make a more comprehensive review after my first day impressions. I will try to answer questions like who's it for, who's it not for, do you need a steering wheel, how is it compared to Dirt Rally 1 and Dirt Rally 2.0, how are the grip and other physics, have the graphics issues been fixed as promised, and so on. I'll be focusing on what stands out, be it positive or negative. Issues always bother some people more than others, so I'll emphasize the aspects that I consider important and the aspects that I really like. Other reviewers will do the same from their perspective. I'm playing the game using the Thrustmaster T300-RS GT on a PlayStation 5 onto a 49-inch flat-screen TV. I don't know if the experience or issues differ on other setups. Let's start with the game modes. There's career, championship, moments, clubs, quick play, time trial, and rally school. Instead of boring you going through all of them, I'll say that I can't think of any more ways to rally. I can't imagine someone not finding the one for them. A few words about the career though. Like everywhere else in the game, it takes a while to understand the structure of the menus. You also need to learn which events it would be tactical to take part in, as they sometimes overlap and you can only participate in one per week. It's also still not clear to me how to advance from WRC2 level to WRC. I'd really like to see an overview on which championships overlap in the coming weeks, since currently I have to scroll through the whole year week by week to make sure I don't have to skip too many events. The career seems to advance slowly, but there's enough progress for it to feel worthwhile. This is the part of the game that I'll be spending most of my time in. Having the ability to precisely adjust the AI skill level is a welcome addition, though their performance level does vary quite a bit here and there. There was a bug that resets all tuning settings to 0 when loading or saving the tuning, but it appears to have been fixed in the 1.3 update. Then the big question, how are the physics? I've seen completely opposing assessments on how realistic the handling is. Although the ones that have claimed being rally school instructors or having rallied in real life seems to consider the handling quite realistic. That should have a lot of weight, and the world-class drivers in the EA ads may not be all that wrong after all. There is a lot to like about the handling in my opinion as well, and also the tuning ranges seem reasonable enough that it's hard to ruin the handling completely. There are issues, however. But to be clear, while I try to explain the issues in length and with as much detail as I can, they are small enough not to prevent me from enjoying the game now that I've accustomed to them a bit. So don't mistake the following for the handling being full of issues. Of all rally games or games with rally in it that I've tried, this feels easily the most realistic and the most enjoyable to me. Note that RBR is not included in that list because of its platform limitations, and it also doesn't seem to offer much beyond the driving physics and maybe online play. To me, the physics can't be the only thing going for it in a game. While I soon noticed that there is something peculiar about the EA WRC handling, it's extremely difficult to locate precisely and to put into words. Therefore, a lot of what I'm about to say may be bad descriptions of what's really going on. But I have driven quite a bit already, and I'll try my best to portray how it feels to me. I'm also no rally driver in real life, so there are limits to my knowledge on rally car handling. As many have noticed, there seems to be a bit too much grip on many occasions. It also feels like there would be some level of traction control enabled despite having it turned off from the settings. Slides are stopped early on pavement and sometimes on dirt as well. In addition, how the game usually approaches occasional low grip situations is that the grip is decreased from the rear tires only, worn tires included. Front tires grip much better in nearly all situations, so despite the elements of the base level traction control, the overall feeling is a bit oversteery. The combination of the above issues makes it really hard and in many cases impossible to power slide through turns. It feels kind of as if there were 3 levels of programmed oversteer. First is a mild one that the game seems to expect you to respond to with a quick and short countersteer. If you do, all is fine. Then there's the medium oversteer that requires really quick reflexes to counter, sometimes all the way to full lock. But you need to return the countersteer back to neutral just as quickly as you started it, otherwise you'll be greeted with the third level of oversteer, the instant spin-out. There are also some spots that try to engage the instant spin-out without an apparent reason, which are extremely hard to clear with the rear-wheel drive cars. It momentarily feels almost like Dirt Rally 2.0 with both rear tires gone. The only choice is to crawl through those spots at very low speeds. I don't know if the hovercraft handling of the Dirt Rally 2.0 was intended to simulate weight shifting and tire flex or not, but it did fail badly. On the EA WRC, I feel as if the base programming were the same, but adjusted to represent real-life situations much better. On tarmac, the cars still feel like the tire pressures were a bit low or something, but it's at a level that I don't have the expertise to say whether it's realistic or not. It is challenging, but I'd expect real-life racing to be as well. What is missing a bit though is dancing at the verge of the grip on tarmac. The so-called low tire pressure handling is a bit like that, but the driver is not informed about the state of the grip very well. Losing grip and missing the racing line happens rather abruptly on tarmac. Like with Dirt Rally 2.0 though, the grip on dirt is much harder to fault. Then, what I feel being the most distracting issue of the game at the moment, that also adds to the handling peculiarities, and what makes the grip situations above so difficult. Steering response. I have measured to the best of my abilities the delay that it takes for the games to respond to input on my system. And here are the results. While the actual latency difference isn't earth-shattering by any means, it is something I feel during sharp consecutive returns, tight chicanes and hairpins, be it from the actual latency or the handling behavior. In addition to that, it feels a bit like the steering input on the EA WRC is filtered to soften sharp movements. On a controller this is required for smooth driving, but with the steering wheel the response should be as instant as possible, just like it is in real life. There's a reason why real-life rally drivers throw the steering wheel around as fast as they do, and for the same reason it should be possible in the game as well. All in all, driving in this game requires a different approach and technique than the Dirt Rally series. While in those games one could usually just switch between pegging the throttle or the brake for the whole stage, in EA WRC I found that I need to lift or coast the gas pedal much more often. Especially on technical gravel stages, the gas pedal rarely hits the floor anymore. Like I've mentioned in my earlier videos, the hovercraft behavior of the cars in Dirt Rally 1 and especially Dirt Rally 2.0 bugs me a great deal. I still did get 100 or more hours on each, but now that there is EA WRC, the only reason I would launch Dirt Rally 1 is to play in VR and zero reasons to launch Dirt Rally 2.0. Not sure about the VR anymore either though. In EA WRC there's more content, even better audio and much better physics in my opinion. The jump is not easy though, as it requires for you to learn a new driving technique. If you're expecting a similar handling, you'll be disappointed, but having 600 kilometers of fresh stages is already a big deal. The force feedback of the game has gotten good comments, but personally I'm not completely sold. Tire slip only shakes the wheel when the rear tires are sliding, and even then the threshold is a bit high. There's no force feedback on the front tires losing grip, so I don't find it at all useful for choosing any driving actions. It's also not perfectly consistent. The self-aligning force feels pretty decent though, although I keep it quite low since I must be able to throw the wheel to full lock instantly on many occasions. The suspension and crash forces also sometimes skip a bit, but are generally reasonable. Then about well-known issues with the graphics. The 1.3 update does aim to fix many of the issues and also succeeds in some situations, but it's definitely still not smooth sailing all the way. Before the race, the camera panning on the car usually stutters still, and in some stages the FPS drops to disturbingly low values for a while. The graphic element pop-ups in both replays and racing are significantly decreased with the update though. The quality of the graphics has gotten quite a lot of critique, and while I might agree with many of them, I find the importance of them quite low. The core of rallying is to fly through the woods or windy pavement roads at 100 miles per hour. The graphics are definitely as good as I can imagine possible for that purpose. Even if the illusion were crushed when spinning out to the bushes and seeing them in lower quality, I still don't consider it as an issue for me personally. After all, it's not like it's at the RBR level or something. But if you're picky about these kinds of things, you might want to watch other reviews that concentrate on them further. Whether it's better or worse looking than Dirt Rally 2.0, I'd say that it's more lively and the sceneries are more varied. There are stages that are unnaturally smooth, including the area outside the actual road, but again, it doesn't bother me enough to call it an issue. The field of view adjustments and disabling the motion blur setting are big deals for me in getting the graphics immersion to be as faultless as possible. The 1.3 update says to have fixed numerous issues, big and small, and I have only scratched the surface with the update. I'm sure I'll learn more as time goes by. Then, I can't not talk about the audio. I was thoroughly amazed by the quality of all sounds in Dirt Rally 2.0, and I used to go to the hangar in Dirtfish on the Escort Mark II and just listen in headphones to the engine roars and tire squeals reverb around me. I'm a schooled sound engineer by trade, so this aspect is huge for me in creating immersion. For example, the engine sounds on WRC 10 alone were a showstopper for me, and I'm not convinced if the RBR does much better. On EA WRC though, I think they have succeeded in further enhancing the sounds from Dirt Rally 2.0. I could just listen through a whole playback of a stage, just trying to find a fault without success. All sounds in the game are just absolutely amazing. You can also choose which of the included songs play in the menus, which is handy since there was indeed one that annoyed me a bit, and one that I really like. So, who is this game for, and to whom is it not? Like we all know, the game has a huge amount of content, 600 kilometers of stages, a plethora of cars, and even a car builder, numerous rally modes offline and online, etc. I really don't know what more could there be. The audio is stellar across the board, and the graphics, while still a bit buggy, are immersive enough for most drivers and will surely be further optimized as time goes by. Triple screen support, telemetry output, and VR should be added down the line as well, but if you rely on those, you'll have to wait. The game plays just fine with a controller, although a lot of the stages are pretty narrow and technical, so it is a challenge on a different level than Dirt Rally 2.0. If you're looking for an RBR killer or a perfectly raw ACC level simulator in rally form, you will be disappointed with EA WRC. However, if you're looking for the Gran Turismo 7 of rally games, you will most probably like the EA WRC a lot. If you're coming from Forza Horizon 5 though, the realistic learning curve of EA WRC might be a lot. But if you're up for the challenge, you will find a great level of content and immersion in this game that I consider to be the best rally game we've seen so far, on many accounts, though not all. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.